Well, the Supreme Court today took a strong objection to Talaq-e-Hasan, a divorce practice among Muslims, by which a man can divorce his wife by saying the word talaq once a month for 3 months, and not even directly. It could be through somebody, indicating that it might consider striking it down or referring it to a higher judge bench. Justice Surya Kant went on to ask how such a practice, which affects the dignity of women, can be allowed to continue in a civilized society. If there are gross discriminatory practices, then the court has to interfere, Justice Kant remarked. The court was hearing a public interest litigation petition filed by journalist Benazeer Heena, seeking a declaration that the practice of Talaq-e-Hasan is unconstitutional, as it is irrational, arbitrary and violative of the Constitution. The PIL was filed in 2022. The problem started with the harrowing experiences at school, where I wanted to get my child admitted. Everywhere I said I was a divorcee, my papers were not accepted, admissions were rejected. I told the father had moved on, married again, but I had nothing to prove. This is what the Journalist Petitioners Council told the Supreme Court. The PIL also sought guidelines on a gender and religion neutral procedure and grounds for divorce. The petitioner's husband had allegedly divorced her by sending a Talaq-e-Hasan notice through a lawyer after her family refused to pay dowry. Appearing for the husband, his counsel told the court that it is a well-known practice in Islam to appoint a person to send a Talaq-e-Hasan notice. That's when the court questioned, what kind of thing is this? How are you promoting this in 2025? Whatever best religious practice we follow, is this what you allow? Is this how a dignity of a woman is upheld? Should a civilized society allow this kind of practice? Justice Kant also observed that while Heena, being a journalist, has the ability to move the top court, many women from less privileged backgrounds may be languishing in silence. Today, we have a journalist before us. What about those unheard voices living in remote areas, is what the court asked. I'm being joined by Karuna Nandi, Senior Supreme Court Advocate. Thank you very much, Karuna Nandi, for joining us. Let's just straight go to what the Supreme Court has said. Ms. Karuna, very strong gender lens on this entire divorce procedure.
The Shaira Bano judgment, where a number of Muslim women and Muslim women's groups went to the court and asked for talaq-e-biddat or triple talaq to be declared as not being part of religious law, not being part of the Quran, is something that we already have. So that is an extremely important and salutary judgment for Muslim women's rights. It's also important to remember, and it's also quite interesting to remember, that Justice Nariman, for example, in Shaira Bano, had said that it is unconstitutional. So he didn't say the main reason that he had a problem with triple talaq was because it was against fundamental rights. I think this approach is extremely important because I believe, and I agree with Justice Nariman and Justice Chandrachud in, I think it was the Sabrimala judgment, where they say that, look, religions can organize their affairs as they wish, so long as they are in accordance with the fundamental rights of the Constitution, right? Now, Talaq-e-Hasan appears to be a kind of triple talaq. So I don't see why it's not already part of the triple talaq striking the prohibition on triple talaq. But I suppose one has to go deeper into the issue, which is why they have referred it to a larger bench. At the same time, I would like to remind the viewers and all of us that the union government, while ostensibly supporting Muslim women's rights, it continues to oppose constitutional challenges to the marital rape exception. So continues to say that if a woman is raped in marriage by her husband, however brutal it is, then this is not something that can be considered rape. And this is something apparently that
Right.
is a cultural issue, etc., that should be left to the legislature.
Okay.
We continue to have on our books.
Miss-
So, if I may just complete, very important. We continue to have on our books the rights of Hindu women being denied because the guardian of a child is a man. And only after that, a woman. Now, this was read down somewhat in the Gita Hariharan judgment, but it continues to exist.
No, Ms. Nandi, if I can just come in at this point, because there's a little issue in what you're saying. While what you're saying is absolutely correct, in the sense that many would say this and put this forward, and this is something that is also sub judice. This is being heard in different courts, and we should be seeing more of this in the courts as well. I want to bring back our focus today to something which is very sensitive, and that court has ruled, and it's not about what the government has done, what the center has done really in this case. It's what the court has said. And that's what's very important, because often we have discussed about how courts have at times failed to bring in the right lens, particularly the gender lens, on some very crucial cases, and you and I have spoken about this as well in the past. In this case, though, the court really brought out a very important point, and that was the person who's standing before us is a journalist. The person who's standing before us is a journalist who has a voice. What about the voiceless? And you made an important point, and that is that what this Talaq-e-Hasan is seems already part of the triple talaq. But if that's the case, it's clearly prevalent still in the country. And is that then a concern about how legally this needs to be addressed apart from the laws as well?
Ms. Koshi, the court clearly thought that this was an issue that needs to be gone into. And it's from what you are saying, it sounds like the plea of the petitioner was the fact that it was being challenged on the ground that it is against the Constitution, not that it's not in the Quran. So I think that that would be an extremely important move. I will respectfully enter a disagreement here with you, which is that I think that Hindu women's rights are as important as Muslim women's rights.
There's no way that I'm disagreeing with that, Ms. Nandi.
14% of the judgment, 14% of the population. Hindu women, all of us, are, a very large percentage of the population, and Hindu women's rights are very, very important. And these are not being challenged. And these are not being challenged enough. Even though this government is in a majority, it can very easily pass laws to bring equality. It's not happening.
Okay, that's a point that you have made, but if you're saying that it's not being challenged enough, I'm sure anybody in this country can go and challenge them if they if they wish to do so. Nothing stops them. But here's the thing: I don't want to get this into, I don't want to digress this into multi-religions. I get the point of what you are trying to bring as well, but I'm trying to just look at the gender lens of what the court has said. And why this is also important, Ms. Karuna, and you would agree, there have been in the past when women petitioners have gone to the court and they have had to bear the burden of remarks that aren't in the best taste. What the court today has said is at several counts. One, a message to the society. Two, the message and a concern about how women in a larger outlook are looked. Now, in today's case, the court wouldn't have been able to come in and bring in the entire paraphernalia, but they did look into Talaq-e-Hasan that was really before them.
Talaq-e-Hasan.
Talaq-e-Hasan.
The court has looked at this. This is salutary. There's no question that this absolutely is salutary. To speak to what you were saying a few seconds ago, you were saying that it is open to women to challenge the other provisions. Women have challenged the other provisions. In fact, the marital rape case has been going on for a period of over 10 years. And the reason that, a major reason that these things do, are split verdicts, etc., is because of the government. So it's not that the government does not have a role. But yes, today this is a positive move. And we hope that this will be applied, rights will be brought not only to Muslim women, but to all women, Hindu women, Christian women, all women, including in the secular law.